Hi guys, so here we go again. I hate to do this, but I believe it's necessary. I really want Kim Leadbeater to win the constituency of Batley and Spen. She's the Labour Party candidate and she's the older sister of Joe Cox. I really don't want to do this, but I want the Labour Party to hear this. I know I'm a very small voice, but I hope there's someone within the Labour Party who can hear this. And my message is, turn the ship around. You need to provide a vision. You can't just offer platitudes and empty rhetoric. You need to provide a vision for people to vote on. I really feel that the Labour Party have dropped the ball once again here. I think it'd be great for Kim to win the seat in order to keep the Tory out, but her messaging is completely off. There's a real risk that the Labour Party are going to lose this seat in a few days' time, and why? Well, I want to provide two examples. The first is from Kim herself, and the second is from an interview she gave to Owen Jones, a Labour Party supporter.
Batley and Spen needs an MP who can bring people together, not sow division and drive them apart. Someone who knows our community and can hit the ground running to get things done. Not someone who has repeatedly let people down across the country and has an embarrassing record of failure and have been rejected by the electorate time and time again. So, on July the 1st, vote for a winner. Because listen, when the circus leaves town and the cameras are all gone, we have to live here together peacefully. Vote for someone who cares, because a vote for anyone else other than me will result in a Tory MP, and we deserve better. Batley and Spen deserves better.
Thank you very much.
Okay, what's the problem with this? Well, first of all, she spent more time talking about people who are not Kim. She spent more time talking about people who are not herself. She needs to spend more time talking about her and her vision. I didn't hear anything about a vision here. She talked about division. She talked about people sowing division. She didn't talk about herself. Now, I understand that this was just a 1-minute clip and we didn't hear anything about policy, but that's okay. She didn't reference a vision. This was her own clip. It's not something taken from, something online. This is something that she's promoting. Once again, she spent more time talking about George Galloway and the Tories than she did talking about herself. She referenced when the circus leaves town, we have to pick up the pieces or we have to work together. But you need to provide a vision. Now, I hope she wins. I don't know whether she's going to win or not, but I truly hope she's going to win. But the problem is you need to provide something. Now, in the next clip, it doesn't get much better.
Would you support a pay rise of 12.5% as the Royal College of Nurses?
I think nurses need to be paid a fair wage.
12.5%
Absolutely.
Pay rise increase?
I would have to look at the figures in a bit more detail, Owen. It's not as simple as me just again waving a magic wand.
No.
You have to say yes. Why are you making it more complicated? You say, yes, the Royal College of Nurses want 12.5%. I would fully support that. 100%. I'm behind them. I'm on their side. Now, you could even say, no, I don't agree with that. I think they should be paid 15%. Why is she choosing to be timid here? Why is she saying, look, we need to look at it, or, I can't wave a magic wand? It's almost as if the Labour Party don't want to get elected. Because think about it in this way. Someone watching this, on the one side they have the Tories who want to pay nurses 1%. And then on the other side you have somebody who says, well, I want them to be paid a fair wage. Is this going to encourage people to come out and vote for you? Imagine if somebody said, and look, I'm not a political strategist, far from it, but if I was in her position, I would say, yes, I'm going to give them a 12.5% pay increase. Or I would even go further. I'd say, no, I'm going to actually pay them 15%. Listen, everyone, I'm going to pay them 15%. If I get into power, I'm going to fight for 15%. Or I'm going to fight for 12.5% if you want to keep it that way. I'm going to fight for the NHS. I'm going to fight for staff. I'm going to fight for workers, because that's what the Labour Party stands for. That's the Labour Party's vision, protecting workers, protecting the NHS. Otherwise, why should people vote for you? I'm not a Tory. Okay, but that's not enough for us to vote for you. Once again, as I've said before, I hope she wins because I don't want the Tory in. But this is not encouraging people to come out and vote for you. Saying, yes, I want to give them a fair wage, but what does it cost you to come out and say, I'm going to fight for the NHS. I want them to have 12.5%.
But it's just picking a position. Surely the Royal College of Nurses said that's what nurses should get.
I think nurses deserve to be paid more. I'm very, very clear about that. I went out for a drink with a friend of mine who's...
More? What? 1% and 1.5%? The Tories want to pay them 1%? What is more? 1.1%? 5%? 8%? Do people see the problem here? The Royal College of Nurses said 12.5%. I support that 100% because I care about the NHS. I care about the staff. The Tories want to pay them 1% and give them claps. That doesn't pay the bills. That doesn't help them in any way. It's actually a pay cut when inflation is included in this. It's once again, it feels like the Labour Party just don't care. It's like, yeah, we'll give it a go. If we win, great. If we don't, well, we'll try again next time.
As a nurse, she said, I'll get this round in, Kim. I've just been given a 30 pence a week pay rise. Not good enough, is it? Let's be really clear about that. Okay. So again, my job is to speak to people about nurses being paid fairly, teachers being paid fairly, addressing all the issues that have had a...
It's not about listening to people or speaking. It's about doing stuff. It's about fighting. You should be saying, look, 12.5% for nurses. I'm going to fight for that. I'm going to also speak to teachers. I want to hear what they have to say. How are they struggling during this pandemic? I'm going to make sure that they get a pay increase as well. Why is she not saying this?
Result of the pandemic. But again, we can't just wave a magic wand and make these things happen. My job is to get involved in those conversations and be allowed.
But people want a clear position, don't they, from their member of parliament?
Absolutely,
they
that's
want to know
it.
where they stand.
Yeah, and once I'm elected, all those things will be considered and.
Once I'm elected, those things will be considered. So vote for me so I can consider things. Once again, I'm not trying to be cruel here, but it's like she doesn't care. Vote for me so I'll consider things. Vote for me so I'll have a chat with some people. You need to convince people to come out and vote. You need to have a message. You need to have a vision. So I'm going to fight for the NHS. 12.5% is the minimum. I'm going to fight for 15%. If we can't get 15%, we'll go with 12.5%. But I'm going to do something. Not, yeah, they're not paid enough. They need to be paid more. Once again, please criticize me if I'm being overly critical here. But this is not enough to convince people to come out and vote.
And I will come to my very clear points on them. But at
would
the
you get rid of
moment,
tuition fees? Would you vote to get rid of tuition fees for young people?
I'm not a massive fan of tuition fees. Absolutely. When I did my degree at 25.
I'm not a massive fan of tuition fees. This is her coming across in the way, yeah, well, we can't get rid of them completely. I'm not a fan of them, but you have to say, look, if we want to have an educated society, we need to get rid of the blocks that are in place to stop people from getting high quality education. I believe education should be free. Because the problem is we're looking at it as a cost and not as an investment. If university is free, it means more people are able to go there, people are able to get better educated, meaning people are able to add more to society. And that we recoup that cost in the long term. In the same way we have free healthcare.
I didn't have to pay anything. It was absolutely wonderful to get a degree without having to pay a penny. I think £9,000 a year is excluding so many people from education. I think it's really difficult. I used to be a lecturer at Bradford College. You know, it's a massive barrier to people to think that they're going to get into so much debt. So yeah, those are really important conversations to be had. But you know, people are also sick of thinking that there is a magic money tree, so there isn't. So we've got to be really clear to people about that. So all these.
So when she sounds like a Tory. I'm sorry to say this, but she sounds like a Tory. A magic money tree. So when the Tories spent £37 billion on test and trace that doesn't work, the Tories didn't have a problem with that. You didn't hear Tories saying, look at how much money we wasted on test and trace. We can't be wasting this money because there isn't a magic money tree. But when it comes to spending money on NHS staff, when it comes to eliminating tuition fees, well, you know, we have to be careful with how we spend our money. We're going back to the old arguments again. When we're spending money on people, we have to be careful. When we're spending money on corporations, on war, for example, nobody cares about the cost. Nobody raises, you know, when was the last time you heard a politician stand up in Parliament or in any Parliament around the world when a war was about to be declared and they said, can we afford this? Who's going to pay for this? Maybe Bernie Sanders. But generally you don't hear politicians say this because they don't care about that. When he's spending money on people, then they're, you know, fully on board with, you know, we need a cost analysis. We need to find out how much this is going to cost, who's going to pay for it. We don't have a magic money tree. Once again, she sounds like a Tory. And, you know, there is already a Tory candidate. You need to provide a vision. You need to say, I'm on the side of the working class. I'm on the side of the NHS. The NHS staff have been thrown under the bus by the Conservatives. I'm going to fight for them. I want the doctors and nurses in my constituency to come out and vote for me because I'm on your side. I'm fighting your corner. But she's not saying that. It's almost as if she doesn't want to win. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?